It really makes me, it's the kind of thing that makes me not want to go out. As I record this last night, I went to see the new Mission Impossible movie. I'm not going to give my review of that here. I want to talk more about the event of going there, leaving the house to see the movie. Because I want to talk about punctuality. Now, for context, I'm the kind of guy who likes to be early for everything. I grew up learning that punctuality was the way to go. My sister rebelled against it, thinking that's apparently not how normal people operate. Even as recently as last year, when we were in upstate New York for my cousin's son's first birthday party, and I suggested that we all just go there to early so that we can see people for longer. Then she was like, no, normal people don't show up to parties hours early like that. I'm the opposite, as I said. I always like to be early to things and on time. I like to leave room for error. Like when I go to movies, I always like to make sure that I enter the building at least half an hour before the started showtime so that I can scan my ticket, get my popcorn, and then comfortably sit down. This time was no different. I arrived there at about 4 something. I forget the exact time. But I arrived there after walking. I went to get my slider fix. And then I scanned my ticket with the usher. And then I got my Oreo popcorn and my bottle of water. And when I sat down, I was just eagerly exciting the movie I had originally planned to be my big return to the theater to see a movie the way that it was meant to be seen, according to Tom Cruise. Man, it was so good that they didn't have any advertisements play, even during the lead up to the previews. And especially not during the previews, like when I went to see Thunderbolts. Maybe Tom Cruise, as producer, demanded that it be that way. I don't know. I just know that a while into the a good while into the movie, I think 5 or 10 minutes, and this is the movie itself. So for context, showtime is actually when the previews start. And that's about 15 minutes where I go. So we had all that, and then 5 to 10 minutes into the actual movie itself, this big group of about 5 or 6 people come in, and then they take all the seats to my left, and then one of them takes the one to my right, which was a lone empty seat between myself and this couple whose first seat was 2 seats to my right. But during the actual movie itself, well into it, this isn't like they come in as the studio logo comes in. They just come into the theater well into it. They go around the row, their voices going well above a reasonable whisper, and then they grab their seats. The one on my left is using her phone. It's one of those things where I'm like, why did I leave the house for this? I could easily have watched The Accountant, the first one, or The Tragedy of Macbeth. I could have made cinnamon sugar popcorn. On top of that, the movie itself was also kind of convoluted and messy and trying too hard to recap the previous Mission Impossible movies. But anyway, the big group that came in really got on my nerves because I was like, because I got flustered and thrown off. My enjoyment of the movie was thrown off by them doing that. See, this is why I'm glad that the Museum of Science doesn't do late admissions to the Mugar Omni Theater or the planetarium. Because they actually preserve the immersion of it. Fun fact, the planetarium at the Museum of Science, they actually turn off the lights for the exit signs. No, really. I mean, I'm not particularly in favor of that, but I'm also of the belief that I also understand why, because it needs to be extra dark. As I mentioned in my video about my evening there last April, they used red lights to have the sign language interpreter do her job for the deaf person or people who are also seeing the thing. The red lights were so that it wouldn't reflect onto the screen and completely destroy the immersion. My mom's complaint was that the sight of her doing the sign language would be distracting for her. She didn't complain to anyone formally. She said it to me real casual like. Which it's a story for another day about reasonable accommodations and such. Personally, I'm glad that the museum had someone who could do the sign language interpretation so that the deaf person could fully enjoy the experience. And I'm glad that they used the red lights so that they minimize the disruption for other people. But getting back to my experience at the movie theater, yeah, they just barged in. That's what it felt like because we were well into the movie. I had been sitting there for at least 40 minutes because getting back to the main topic of punctuality, I'm sorry I got really off topic with that, but instead of thinking about what was going on in the movie, which if it had been a perfect movie or if it had been better written, I'm confident that my frustration with the people around me would have diminished because they didn't talk consistently throughout it like this one group that was near the group that my mom was part of for seeing it the previous Saturday. But still, the fact that they showed up 20 minutes, no, probably 25, maybe half an hour after the stated start of showtime. And I can respect if you don't want to have to see the previews and such, but that's part of the experience. I like to think of the previews as like, you know what? I'm going to tell my aunt who hates that the movie theaters do these previews to try to think of it as a tech demo slash screen test slash final call for people to be like, okay, everybody, get your popcorn, get seated. I just realized that is actually a great way to look at it. That might actually be why they do it in the first place, aside from the fact that in the early days of cinema, previews for movies were shown after the movie, but nobody saw it because nobody stuck around for it. But yeah, getting back to the point about punctuality, frankly, I was thinking instead of about the movie because they were getting really convoluted, why would they even come in at this point? I mean, I get that traffic can happen. I get that you might not want to stay as late as you might have to for a different showtime. But that being said, you already missed a decent amount of the movie. And on top of that, you're getting in the way of people who showed up on time. You're disrupting other people's experiences because of that. Again, I might just be the fringe weirdo who was taught to be punctual. Like, we were always, like, my mom, dad, siblings, and I, at least under the guidance of my mom and my dad to an extent. My mom for, like, family parties and such, my dad for church. Starting time actually meant something to them. So, if a family party started at 3 o'clock, my mom was going to have us there by 3 o'clock. We would go out of our way to leave early enough. And I was basically taught that being punctual is the most important thing. My sister rebelled against that. I personally took it to heart. And I was really that way with movies for, like, the movie theater for well over a decade. I would always use getting something to eat while I waited as a way to make sure that I was there at least an hour and a half before showtime. Like, I'm probably gonna make sure that I'm at least an hour early to my next movie so that I have time to enjoy my sliders before going in. Like 30 minutes is what I like to give myself so that I have time to pick up my popcorn, get seated, and maybe go to the bathroom at least once. But yeah, this now has me wishing that movie theaters would take more of a approach to late arrivals and such as the Museum of Science with their immersive theaters. Like I said, they don't allow re-entry. They don't allow, what was it? They don't allow late arrivals. Late arrivals is what I want to focus on. Re-entry is a different thing. Like, I get it if you need to use the bathroom. If you want to get up, if you need to get up quietly, go down quietly. Do your business in the bathroom, well away from the theater, quietly. Okay, you don't have to worry about being quiet as much, but when you get back, quietly find your original seat. And you just have to accept that you missed part of the movie. That being said, when it comes to late arrivals, I think the previews should be the buffer for that in case in case people arrive late. But it has me asking, why do they still sell the tickets for after that? I mean, even if they do refunds, which the Museum of Science would not do if you're late for a Mugar Omni Theater show or a planetarium show. Come on, movie theaters. You offer refunds generally anyway. You can make it work. Look, I'm sorry, I just wanted to vent about this a little because punctuality means a lot to me. And at a certain point, the burden does shift sometimes. Like in the past, I've always said the burden is on you to figure out not being around children and families if you don't want to get annoyed by disruptive children's behavior. But when it comes to adults who can read a clock, who can who should understand that you know what, if they don't care about disrupting other people, then they should really think about the fact that they already missed part of the movie, so why bother at that point? I don't know. You let me know in the comments down below because I think I want to move on from this. I just want to say punctuality has always been important to me because of this, so that I'm not disrupting someone's experience with a movie. And it really makes me, it's the kind of thing that makes me not want to go out. Because beyond just movies, there are a lot of annoying things I see out there that make me not want to leave the house, that make me want to just get all my goods delivered, watch everything through digital methods. Of course, it didn't help that the movie itself was a bloated mess. So on that note, I think I'm going to leave it here for the video. You let me know in the comments down below how you manage to cope with these kinds of nuisances. Me, I always make the charitable assumption. Like, I am going to charitably assume that they were crunched for time. They had just shown up at the theater and they just chose the time for one that was already in progress so they wouldn't have to wait around. I'm going to be very charitable here because I'm a nice guy. Give this video a like, subscribe for daily videos. I'll see you soon.